Welcome back to Meet the Monster, the show, series, YouTube thing, whatever this is, where we look at Pathfinder 2e's monsters, what makes them different from each other, and how we can use them in varied ways in our games. This week we're taking to the skies with our first flying creature. Well, truly flying creature anyway. I suppose the broom did kind of float. The eagle. We're still making our way through the level -1 creatures, so naturally this guy is still one of those. We're dealing with familiar traits here, small and animal. The animal trait is a creature with a relatively low intelligence, as we've discussed before with the Compy. The Compsognathus. It typically doesn't have an intelligence attribute above -4. It can't speak languages, and it can't be trained in intelligence-based skills. And as for a small creature, this means it occupies its own space, it doesn't need to be in the same space as another creature to attack it, and another small creature can't share the same space with it. As a flesh and blood animal, we don't have any peculiar resistances or immunities here. The eagle's AC is in the higher category for a level -1 creature at 15, so resultantly its HP is in the lower ballpark at just 6. So it isn't taking many hits, but that's okay, as the eagle doesn't plan on sticking around. Its movement speed is just 10 feet, but it's a bird, so it flies most of the time. And that's a 60-foot fly speed. If we keep in mind that most player characters move at about 25 feet per round, that is quick. At slowest, eagles tend to travel in real life at about 120 kilometers an hour. On average, people can run at just over 20 kilometers an hour, so yeah, that's more than fair without destroying the game. So, they want to get out of attack range, they certainly can. Beyond powerful ranged weapons, of course, but even those can't shoot through complete cover if they flew around it. In addition, the one skill that they are trained in is acrobatics, at a +6, which is another high modifier for level -1 creature. This makes sense, as it can be used for the maneuver in flight action, as well as just being used for making escape rolls. These can allow you to get the eagle to pull off interesting maneuvers in its flight, flying between narrow branches or making sudden dives in a sense. It also just makes sense for a graceful bird to be, well, graceful. Saving throws are in a similar ballpark. Reflex is high at a +6, Fortitude is average, but in no ways bad at a +4, and Will is at a +2. It is just an animal after all. But those are okay, and especially as it can quickly fly out of range of many spells and abilities that would need it to make saves in the first place. And as always, the attributes, just so we've gone through them: 0 for strength, +3 for dex, +1 for con, -4 intelligence, +1 wisdom, +1 charisma. Makes sense. Hey, if you've got this far in the video, I'm doing a lot more like them, maybe subscribe. Okay, finally, before we get onto attacks and abilities, perception. The eagle has a +6 in this, which is a little above average, and has low light vision, so it can not see truly in the dark, but in dim light and dim spaces it can see, which makes sense. For attacks, the eagle has 2, beak and claws, which is about what you'd expect. Both are finesse, allowing the eagle to use its higher dex skill rather than its strength. The claws are agile, making the attack modifiers +6, +2, -2 for 1d4 slashing damage, no strength means no additional modifier, whereas the beak is a +6, +1, -4, but for 1d6 points of piercing damage. Pretty standard stuff for an animal. So, what sets the eagle apart at least a little? Well, that would be the eagle dive. This costs 2 actions, and it means the eagle flies up to double its fly speed in a straight line, descending at least 10 feet, and then makes a talon strike. This allows the eagle to move a great distance and then make a strike. As always, 3 actions for the price of 2 is great, and this allows the eagle to move 120 feet, as long as it's making at least a 10-foot descent. This means the eagle can make swooping attacks from up high, leading to some interesting encounters where a party may have to choose their movements and their moments to try and attack back, and the eagle can spend its 3rd action to then fly up a lot more vertically 60 feet, off behind cover again, so the time to hit it up close is going to be very limited. A single eagle won't do much, of course, but if you had a bit of a menagerie attacking of animals, they can be quite annoying, flying in and attacking and taking off before you can fight back because you're dealing with another enemy. Obviously, a bunch of eagles is also going to be tricky. Same, of course, can be said for like bandits or something, if you wanted to do a falconer kind of thing. Falcons don't have their own stat block in this book, but as an aside, I feel like this is kind of what the eagle is also for. It's a good base to build other birds from, either just from reskinning or from adding and tweaking a couple of little things. But yeah, enemies with bows or crossbows or something like that harry you from afar whilst eagles fly in close and peck at you and attack, it could be an interesting combination. Final section, how can we change the eagle up? Well, like we said, it's already a great base for other birds. You can just mess with maybe the speed, strength of attacks, maybe give them dark vision, or some kind of pack tactic if they're maybe vultures or something. There are already a lot of options here, so go wild. Of course, the book has a giant eagle, so no need for us to cover that here either. Beyond this, what can we do? Well, elemental variants perhaps? Sure, or perhaps you could have them holding alchemical vials that they start by dropping on their foes before attacking. Maybe they're also trained in athletics, and instead of attacking directly, they're able to disarm or trip using their claws and wings. Maybe they're a bit fantastically strong, kind of. I know it's not entirely realistic, but hey, this is Pathfinder. Ultimately, the eagle is a bird, and it's an incredible creature in real life, but of all of these, it is also the only one that still exists in real life. So, hey, maybe that limits it a bit. I feel like adding anything more would have gone further away from what it is to be an eagle, and maybe into something a bit more of a fantastical creature. And like we said, that's fine. This works well as a baseline for you to build on. But at that point, I think it gets away from the eagle a bit. But there we are. At the very least, it's a great starting point for making other creatures and other birds that are similar within the Pathfinder system. So that's the eagle. Short and sweet. Not a lot to say, but it's got an interesting harrying attack that it can do, and has an awful lot of speed. If there are any great uses that you've found for the eagle, please let me down in the comments, or anything obvious that I've missed. And give the video a like if you found it interesting. And yeah, I will have more of these out soon, another -1 creature within the next month, as well as other videos on making characters from Vox Machina and Dungeon Meshi, and just other random bits and bobs to do with Pathfinder and other TTRPG systems. So if any of that sounds interesting, feel free to subscribe and stick around. It would be great to have you. But that's all we've got for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.